Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got Man in Blue again with us. You remember last year when he was in the UK, we showed a 10-minute clip of Harjinder Singh, Man in Blue. We shot one of his clip here in Southall, where he went to the Gurdwara and talked about his journey to Sikhi. And that clip, that 10-minute footage was so much liked, not only on Sangat television but also on YouTube, which has received, I think, probably about 10,000 clicks in last few months, less than I think a couple of months. And I'm delighted to have Harjinder Singh here with me today in the studio. And today we want to talk about in that clip when you were here, you mentioned about giving a lecture in London School of Economics.
The London School of Economics.
Yeah, exactly. And many of the feedback I received from the viewers that they wanted to know, they wanted to see that video. Unfortunately, that wasn't recorded.
It was still a bit old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned that time, but since we got you here in our studio, and I thought it would be a fantastic idea to just tell us the subject about and tell us about the talk you had at the London School of Economics. And I think the subject of that lecture was Sikhí Works.
Sikhí Works was the title of the lecture, yeah.
Title of the lecture. Yeah. Now, Harjinder, does Sikhi work?
It does indeed. This is, like if I compare my experience with Sikhi with my previous experience with Christianity, then, I could never see a reason, a motivation for going on the Christian path. Basically, I think the people that taught me Christianity were bad teachers. Yeah? And in Sikhi, I was taught some very simple things by a retired Indian Air Force man. His name was Mehta Chowk from Batala. And, it's very simple ways of doing Simran, very simple ways of walking on God's path, simple principles that everybody knows about sharing with others and thinking about God and making an honest living. Yeah? And you start on that path. And you start trying to think with everything you do about God. But what Guru does not want from us is that we walk around all day saying Vaheguru, 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 because it's not practical. Guru wants us to live a full life, a full life in whatever job we do.
Doing your daily duties.
Yeah, whether you work in a shop, or you work as a doctor, or you work as a road builder, or whatever.
Looking after your family.
Whatever it is that you make your living with. But you can think about God in all you do, but the way you deal with your colleagues, the way you deal with the people you work for, the way that you look at your work as something that you have to do to the best of your abilities. Yeah? Using your talent, your God-given talent. Yeah, these are all ways of thinking about God. You can say that seva is often too narrowly defined, but you can also do your work in the spirit of seva. Yeah? I serve my customer, and my customer is a child of God, and I have to be honest to the customer. I have to give this customer a good service.
Not that you rip him off to make profit.
Yeah, exactly. Making a profit, there is nothing wrong from the Sikh point of view of making a profit, but you have to earn the profit by the way you
delivering service
and giving the good information and all that sort of stuff. And by going, there is no spirituality without honesty.
Yeah.
If you are not sat, then you will not be on a spiritual path. And if you're not on a spiritual path, then you will not profit.
Yeah.
The profit, you look at Gurbani, and there are so many lines that end with things like Sukhapaya.
Yeah? Sukhapaya.
Yeah? I will get peace.
Yeah.
Yeah? And that is exactly the profit that Guru offers you. You get peace. You get this thing, I always mispronounce this a bit, but you can correct me. I call it Sahaj.
Sahaj, yeah.
Yeah, and, Sahaj. It, and it, it is balance.
Yes.
Yeah? And, and by going, this is, there is no spirituality without honesty.
Yeah.
You can think about God in all you do, but if you are not sat, then you will not be on a spiritual path. And if you're not on a spiritual path, then you will not profit.
Yeah.
And these things are there to get. These things are there for everybody. It is not just something that is there for Kesdari Sikhs or Amritdhari Sikhs or Punjabi Sikhs or you know, everybody can do it. Everybody of any faith even.
Yeah.
Those basic teachings of the Guru are valid for all faith. They are not contradictory to the teachings of Jesus. They are not contradictory to the teachings of Muhammad. They are not contradictory to the teachings of the Buddha.
To the whole humanity.
It is, exactly. Sikhs don't own Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak is for everybody. Guru Nanak says, I am not a Hindu, I am not a Muslim, I am a human being. And Guru Nanak is like that Sikh philosopher, that Greek philosopher who went round with his little lamp looking for good people. Guru Nanak is saying literally in the Guru Granth Sahib, and with Guru Nanak I can say that applies to all the writers in the Guru Granth Sahib. I'm not looking for your label, whether you call yourself a Christian, whether you call yourself a Sikh, whether you call yourself a this or a that. I'm looking for your deeds and actions. I'm looking whether you are in your deeds and actions a child of God. Jesus tells the stories about the Good Samaritan. We don't get to know what this Samaritan actually believes in, but in the story Jesus tells this man was the one who cared about the man who was laying along the road wounded and all that, and he took him home and he washed him and he gave him kapra.
So he talks about his deeds.
He talks about the deeds,
not about his background.
He talks not about the background, he talks not about his faith, his beliefs, whether he believes in one God or two gods or 20 gods. I went to Tamil Nadu after the
tsunami.
After the tsunami for Khalsa Aid. And I worked there with Tamil people who were teachers in nursery schools. Now, these ladies were Hindus, and their belief system was different from mine, but we were totally in agreement that we had to rebuild these schools so that
the kids,
to serve the kids. That was their idea, and that was my idea. You know what I'm trying to say? They were, in that respect, they were good Sikhs. They were doing seva.
And in that respect, you are a good Hindu as well.
Exactly. So, and if you go on this path, if you see God's presence in others, if you don't live in jealousy of others, if you don't live like, oh, he's got a Merc and I have only a bicycle, I must do something about this, then you profit. And then you make spiritual progress and you become more happy. And it is the happiness that stays. It is the happiness that is not dependent on having a good job. If tomorrow your factory closes, then you'll still be happy. If you get some mishap in your family, it will, your balance will wobble more than likely. But you will be back. You will get back. You will find your steady pace again. It's not because you have become a wonder person, but because you have learned to rely on the one. And if you rely on the one, and it is, again and again the Guru talks about this, if you rely on the one, the only reliable support in life, then you will be more happy. And that is the profit, that is the Sikhí Works that I find. The Guru teaches us to be good human beings. The Guru teaches us not just to leave the papis. The Guru teaches us to be positively good. You go to many swamis and they say you have to empty your mind. The Guru says, change your bad and useless thoughts for positive, good thoughts. I'll give you a very simple example of this. I used to be pretty rough in using language. I used in English, various words that start with F and what have you. I was quite keen on that. it's a habit. Yeah, it wasn't that I was evil or that. It's a habit. Yeah? And you have to come in the habit of leaving these words out.
Yeah.
And in the very same way, you have to come in the habit of seeing the goodness in others, even in unlikely people that you sort of think
you don't associate with.
Yeah.
But that's difficult, isn't it? I think.
Of course. I mean, the Sikh way of life is a constant challenge. Yeah? If you are anywhere near to being on the path to Gursikhi, that is not an easy choice. Yeah? It is easy to understand in many ways, but doing it is not easy.
Practical.
Yeah? And it's, I mean, like I talk about this until other people get bored to tears, but this very simple way in which Guru Amar Das describes it in the Anand Sahib. It's the cutting edge of the sword you're walking on, and you're going fall off. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and then you try again, etc., etc. So, if Guru says that the duk goes and the sukh comes, that doesn't mean that it doesn't. That there isn't an effort in it. It's not that this is sort of thrown in your lap. You have to work on it. Yeah. But if you do that work, then you get the profit. And the strength of the legendary heroes of the Panth, the Akali Phula Singhs and people like that, Hari Singh Nalwa, you mentioned them. Yeah. The strength doesn't come from them, or it doesn't come from they had the bulging muscles only. They probably were well trained as well, of course. But the real strength from them is from God, from Vaheguru. If you are with God, then even if you lose your life, you haven't lost. Guru Gobind Singh is a case in point. Yeah. Guru Gobind Singh, he lost his 4 sons. He lost more other relatives, etc., etc. But he remained in Charikala, and he remained working for the common good. Yeah. This is it. Gursikhi is not about quarreling about the finer points of theology. Gursikhi is not about trying to say, I am better than you. My dari is longer than yours. I have bigger kasheras than yours. That is not what Gursikhi is about.
My school of thought is much better than your school of thought. That seems to be happening quite often these days.
If you are, the proverbial ignorant Pindu and know nothing about, the theory, the theology of the Guru Granth Sahib, but you do seva from your heart, you can't go wrong. This is something that people seem to forget. Sometimes these simple people, they have an advantage over us so-called intellectuals. Because some people have the luck to grow up in families where the spirit of seva was sort of poured into them from their very birth. And as soon as they see somebody that they think they need some assistance or whatever, they immediately zoom in and do it. And so it's that's why Guru says, you can read books and books and books, till you can fill a boat that will sing the boat.
They'll sing the boat.
And still you're not getting anywhere. I read a lot of books because I like to know the background of many things, and I like to read stories about Sufi peers just and compare them with the stories about Guru Nanak and stuff like that, But it is not the essence of Gursikhi. My Gursikhi, my Sikhi Jivan, my Sikhi lifestyle, and that is the thing that we have to emphasize. The Sikhi lifestyle, not the Sikh beliefs, but the Sikhi lifestyle that comes from love for God and opening yourself to the love that God gives to us. That's it. And I was at a conference yesterday, and I met a Christian reverend madam, I don't know, an Anglican priest, a lady Anglican priest. And she came from a secular background. Her parents were non-believers, and she had walked a path similar to mine. Yeah?
Yeah.
She had developed and looking and making mistakes and what have you. And we talked about this in these very same terms, you know, like you become aware if you go on the Sikhi path, you become aware of God at all times. You are not walking alone. Yeah, the Liverpool song is "You never walk alone." Yeah? And that is so true for the Gursikh.
Yeah.
You never walk alone.
Yeah.
You are always with God. God is there. I mean, God is always there, but you become aware of it.
Yeah.
That is what it is. Yeah.
So you have to make yourself aware of it.
Yeah, you have to open yourself.
Yeah.
This is that third eye, or
Yeah,
the tenth body opening. Yeah? They are. There is not a real third eye in the physical point from the physical point of view, but it is
Mind.
Yeah, it is opening your mind, opening your senses, opening your everything. This is what the strength is of Gurbani. Yeah? The strength of Gurbani is, of course, in the meanings of the words. Yeah, that there is no doubt about it. You should not switch off your brain. Yeah? But it is also because it is in an artistic form. It is poetry and it is music and all that. Yeah? So it speaks to the emotion as well. It speaks to the brain. It speaks to the emotion. It speaks to your sense of beauty, your sense of experiencing beautiful music and beautiful singing, like we did today earlier
At the Gurdwara.
At the Gurdwara Sahib. Yeah. And so you need all your senses. You don't just open your brain, or don't just look. Yeah, but everything. All what is it? Do we have 5 senses? I
5 senses.
Yeah, I think something like that. Maybe you can even smell the fragrance of God. Yeah? Because God is like the rose. Yeah? If you put a good rose in this room, then give it 15 minutes and you can smell it everywhere.
Brilliant.
Yeah? If you have God, if you have God awareness, you will smell God everywhere. Yeah?
You can smell God everywhere. Well, thank you very much, Harjinder, for coming to the studio today and talking to us, sharing your experiences, and telling us that Sikhí works.
Yeah. The idea, I mean, in the last program we talked extensively about Maya.
Yeah.
So on the other side of it is, I live a simple life. I have far less money than I used to have before I became a Sikh. I was a businessman and I did quite well for myself. And I am much happier. Yeah. So there is no virtue in being poor. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. There is no virtue in being poor. I can't say that often enough. But there is also no virtue in having
too much money.
Too much or what have you. You know, I have
too
enough money. I have enough money to have simple kapra. If there is a hole in my sock, I can go to the shop and buy a new one. I have this pack, but I have two more blue ones and 2 more Kesari ones as well. You know, I have what I need, and I get every day more than enough to eat, and all that sort of thing. So that is there, and that you need that, but the unnecessary luxury and all the machinery we have in the house, you know, like
too many these days.
Yeah, it's
too many gadgets.
Yeah, it's too much. It is too much, and you can't, you know, half the time, you know, parents give their children too many toys, and the children don't know what to do with them. Yeah, and I mean, like, we were poor when I was a kid. My parents had no money. Yeah, and I played with you know, sand and sticks and stones and what have you, and you know, we built things with them. We made road systems, and I had 2 dinky toys, or no, 2 or 3, I can't remember. And move them around. Yeah, you can have great fun with simple toys. Yeah, and you don't. You know, I love reading books. In my past life, you can say, before I became a Sikh, I had bookshelves full of books. I had a library in my own house. Now I can't afford to buy so many books anymore. So now I just go to the library.
Yeah.
And that is actually, the library has far more books
Far more
than my small house would could ever contain.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah? And on all different subjects as well, to catering for all tastes. But you lead a simple life, and you have compassion for others. You have an eye open for the needs of others, and the needs of others are sometimes very simple. Many people these days, they have a need of real friendship, of somebody who is willing to listen to
Yeah,
them.
it doesn't have to be materialistic help.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to give
something physical.
Something.
Yeah. Just listening to somebody, talking to somebody.
And appreciate somebody's good qualities and
Yeah.
say, oh, that's well done, that's really nice. Yeah. In the family that I'm staying, like the daughter-in-law had baked some bread today. Yeah, and it was really, she done a good job.
Yeah.
And so you show
Appreciate
some
that.
appreciation.
Yeah.
That is so. Humanity is about, like being, to appreciate others, and not always looking for, to criticize or something. Because it was the first attempt at bread making. I mean, I'm sure the next time it will be even better.
I'm sure it will.
But that's not the point. She's doing this,
and
even the first attempt was
good enough.
Was edible
Yeah.
and tasty and what have you, and so you appreciate that, and that is important for people. And I sometimes need somebody to pat me on the back as well.
Of course.
So, coming back to the theme, you go on the Guru's way. You stick to these simple perceptions of think about God at all times, share with others, and do honest work. Simple. You can say, as far as belief system is concerned, to me, the central dogma of Sikhi is one God, one humanity. This is what you have to practice. If you say, I believe in one God means the Muslim believes in that God.
Absolutely.
And the Christian believes in that God.
Yeah.
And as many Hindus will say to you, all these 330 million gods really are manifestations of the one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
all comes to the one at the end.
And whether we call God Allah or Ram or Rahim or I mean you can think of all the quotes in the Guru Granth Sahib.
Yanji and Piche.
Yeah, exactly. Whether we call God Johnny or Peter or what have you, it doesn't really matter. There is only one God for all, and from that comes that we should not be, again, be jealous of others, of other faith, or nitpicking over other faith.
We should never do that.
Yeah. If Sikh is not somebody who's being negative about other faith.
Yeah.
And
I think we should be embracing more diversity.
Yeah. But we are in the ideal position.
Yeah.
Because we are one of the very few traditions, together with the Buddhists probably, that does not say our way is the only one.
Yeah.
These underlying principles that Guru Nanak teaches, they are valid for all religions.
Yeah.
But it is nonsense to say that you can only find God if you are called Singh or Kaur, or you can only find God when you have a long dari or something like that. That it is part of the Guru's uniform, and I wear that with pride. But again, coming back to that Sikhi Jivan, it is absolutely useless.
Yeah. Until you don't practice.
If I don't
good deeds,
do the
actions that are required,
the good actions that are required, exactly. And so then the other twin that I always put together when I give a simple introduction on Sikhi is Simran and Sewa.
Yeah.
And they are very close to each other. Through Simran, you start seeing God's presence in all. Yeah. And then you want to do Sewa. Yeah. You have to serve God. How can you serve God? God has no needs. God isn't hungry. God isn't cold. God doesn't need kapra. God doesn't need a house.
Serving humanity.
So you serve God's creation. Yeah? And not just humanity. You can even the animal kingdom, or people that are green campaigners and for work for nature. For the nature. That is all
part of His creation.
Yeah, it is all God's creation. Exactly. We have talked about one God, one humanity. We talked about Simran and Seva. I've already mentioned love.
Yeah.
I think this is the subject that we will finish on.
Okay.
Love. There is a school of thought in the Punjabi culture that almost thinks that love is a dirty word. They say love marriage is bad. Yeah? The Guru says that man and wife should be two bodies, one soul.
One soul.
If there's no love, then you will not achieve it.
Yeah.
Love is not sex. Love is not you have a pretty face. Love is not I like your Mercedes. Love is the true thing. Love is the real love is like godly love.
Yeah.
What is godly love like? No conditions. God keeps giving His love. God is like pouring love out. From like from a vessel that has no end.
Yeah.
That never empties. Yeah? He's just pouring and pouring, and more keeps coming.
Yeah.
Yeah? God is the datar. He is the giver.
Yeah.
Yeah? And His gifts are unlimited. And if you open yourself up to that love, then you get really enriched. If you learn to love God, then you get really enriched. And one of the images that is used so much in Guru Granth Sahib is the soul bride.
Yeah,
that's
soul
all
bride.
of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
God is the
yeah, and the God. Yeah. All the souls come from the Param Atma.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they want to go back
to
the Paramatma.
Yeah.
Yeah? And I purposely pronounce it a bit, like not exactly as it usually sounds.
Just to distinguish.
To make it very, very clear. You have the old soul and you have the Atma, the individual Atmas. Yeah? They all come from that same source, and they want to go back to that same source.
Yeah.
Yeah? And that there is like, you have an electrical particle which is positive and negative, and they are attracted to each other. Yeah, something like that, or magnetism, something like that. There is a natural tendency of the soul to want to go back to God. And God rules us to me, like God is the puppeteer. Yeah, He pulls the strings, but the strings are made of love.
Yeah.
They're not made, by punishment or what have you. They are made of love. And if you go, if you go on that path that we've been talking about, then you experience that love, you get to know that love, and then you don't want anything else anymore. Yeah? Then you are happy with what you have. Then you are going the straight path and not deviate too much.
Brilliant.
This image, of the bride and the groom is again, it's not nothing not particular to Sikhi. Even in medieval Christianity, it was used a lot by the mystics.
To explain the love of God.
Yeah, and often in Christianity the image was, the groom was Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah, but for the rest, same
principle.
The same principle. The soul wants to
reconnect.
Yeah. All the nuns in the convents, they were not married; they were married to Jesus. Yeah. But also in the male mystics, they use the same sort of imagery. There is if you can Google and find it easily. There is somebody called Julian of Norwich. Julian of Norwich. Although the name sounds male, she is a female.
Okay.
Norwich, the town at the East Coast, and Julian, Julian. And you look at her poetry and you see similar images.
Right.
Yeah? And I read a Shabbat today. Oh no, it was in the Gurdwara. I saw that they were singing a Shabbat, and it says, "I'm not looking for unity. I'm not looking for liberation. I'm just looking for to sit at your lotus feet."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But you see, if you sit at His lotus feet, then you get mukta. Yeah? It's like you're not doing the things.
I got the Shabbat.
You're not doing the things for the reward. Yeah? You're not, the Christians believe in heaven.
Raj na chahon, mukat na chahon, man preet charan kamar. I knew it.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're not looking for the reward, but you just want to be with God.
Yeah.
But if you are with God, then you get mukta. Yeah. Then you become liberated. Then you don't need all these Maya things anymore. And in the end, you will be liberated from the cycle of birth and death.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Harjinder Singh, thank you very much for coming to the studio and sharing your knowledge of Sikhi with our viewers. I'm pretty confident when you're back in the UK again, and we'll continue these discussions. And probably I'll be delighted if I could come to the Belgium maybe one day and do some kind of documentary over there.
It would be nice to show a few of the Gurdwaras in Belgium as well to the
something maybe we can talk about it perhaps. We can do it in the future. But thank you very much for coming to our studio, and we're going to just finish off this program. Playing Fateh Ji.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.